Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. Welcome to our day 2 of this webinar series, and today we will talk about startup initiatives between India and Germany. The webinar is hosted by the German Center for Research and Innovation. I'm happy to see that so many people are already here joining the webinar right at the beginning, and I hope everyone is healthy and safe in these current times. I am Adishri Ketkar. I am the program manager at the German Research and Innovation. I will be your host today for the webinar. We also have our team in the background helping you with questions. And before we begin with the discussions, I would like to point out towards some technicalities that I would like to keep in mind for the webinar. I see that everyone has already made themselves familiar with the chat section here. So please post your questions in the chat section. We will take as many as possible during the entire discussion. This is the only way for you to ask questions. The microphones and camera options are not available for the participants. It is only for the speakers and the host. So let's get into the webinar for today. And before we do that, I would like to have a small poll here, just to have a little bit of warm up and see where all the what interests do you have in participating in the webinar? Do you already have a startup, or are you just in the idea phase and are interested in founding a startup? So I'm going to start a poll here, and would be nice if all the participants just let us know your interest. So here we go. Just tell us, what is your interest? Are you able to? Yeah. Now. Yeah. Are you a founder of a startup? Are you mentoring a startup, or any entrepreneurs? Are you writing a business model for yourself? How is the case? This will also help our to get in. Thank you. I see that it is coming already. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your response. We're going to. Yeah, now we're going to close the poll. Thank you so much. So I see that most of the people are in general interested in the entire entrepreneurship and startups topic. Some of you already do have a startup of your own or are mentoring, and some of you have ideas which you want to develop further. Great, then this seems like a good match today for you and our topic here. So we're going to end the poll here and go back to our presentation mode. I would request all the speakers to start their cameras again so that we're able to see you. Perfect. So why are we in a dialogue for this topic today? Like, what is interesting about the ecosystems? We do know that India and Germany they boast very vibrant ecosystems in terms of startup and entrepreneurship, and the bilateral relationships between both these countries are also old and very strong, and there are a lot of public and private initiatives within the startup entrepreneurship network which also strengthen this. So in today's webinar, we will find out more about such initiatives. And now I'm going to introduce the panel that we have today for that. I'll start off with Amrita. Amrita Gatikota is the representative of the German-Indian Startup Exchange Program called as GINSEP. And she is a startup influencer working in both the ecosystems in India and Germany. And she's also representing several other startup projects such as the Startup Asia Berlin Network and also the Big Sun project in Bangalore. She is also an intercultural trainer herself. Then we have with us Professor Ashkari. Professor Ashkari, can you see us? I would request you to put on your video camera so that the participants can see us. Yeah. So Professor Ashkari is here with us in the panel today. He's just switching on his camera. He's pretty much here. He is the chair of entrepreneurship at the Technical University of Braunschweig and the Ostfalia University of Applied Sciences, both in Germany, and has been in the field for now over a decade. He also heads the Entrepreneurship Hub in these places, and has been a business IT specialist as well, also a startup founder himself, an entrepreneur himself, and has a lot of publications to his name. Next, I will introduce Shubha. Shubha is representing the industry Infineon Technologies with us, which is a leader in the field of semiconductors. She's a senior specialist at the company and has been involved in designing, developing, and evaluation of products for over 15 years now. And at Infineon, she works collaborating with startups, especially in the IoT areas. And next we have Mayur, our youngest panel member here. Mayur is the CEO of Blackrock Technologies and is an award-winning entrepreneur and is coming up with innovations in the biomedical field. Worthy to mention also that he's currently also involved in responding to the current pandemic situation and has been developing his innovation further in that topic. Mayur has been the winner of our Falling Walls lab for 2019, and for one of his innovations also won the India lab, and went to Berlin to present his idea at the global finale. And he will also tell us more about that too in this discussion today. Right, so I see that there are questions coming in already. But I would like to give a start by just asking the panelists about, how has their interest in the exchange between India and Germany been? Why was India on the radar? I would start with Professor Ashkari. Professor Ashkari, you have been you have had collaborations with India and universities, particularly over the last couple of years. What attracted you to this ecosystem? So why India? Why not the very obvious Silicon Valley, for example? Can you tell us more? Professor Ashkari, your microphone is off. Yeah.
Yes. Do you hear me?
We still. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Very well. Okay.
Yeah.
I may say some sentences about our Entrepreneurship Hub, and then I described our cooperation with two universities in India. Our Entrepreneurship Hub is engaged in the area of entrepreneurship, teaching, education, research, and operating services for knowledge-based startups. And we try to commercialize the research results. Newly, we could win a grant from the Federal Ministry of Technology and Business Affairs of Germany to run a program on international entrepreneurship. But besides this program, we have a very dynamic cooperation with Birla Institute of Technology in Rajasthan, and we have a very good cooperation with Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay. And in both universities, we have carried out several seminars and workshops and We had planned to invite Indian students to Germany in June this year, but because of Corona pandemic, we cannot do that. However, we have developed digital format named International Entrepreneurship Summer School, and Indian students can take part in this summer school, and we will join them with our students, especially PhD students, to create the early cells of innovative startups. I just write the internet address of this of our summer school, and if anyone is interested to take part from 7th to 14th of September, you are eagerly invited to take part at it. However, it is necessary that you have some idea, okay? We will discuss about it, and it is important that you are seriously interested to fund and start up together with German students. In the case of developing joint ideas, we will also apply for the so-called EXIST grant. This is the special grant of federal government of Germany for knowledge-based startups, and we will support you to run your Indo-German startup.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Ashtari. This seems like one such initiative at university level. Next, I would like to know what exists for, in between, like people who actually have startups or who want to start their journey towards Germany, or for German startups towards India. And this is where perhaps Amrita, you could give your inputs. What was the background a little bit behind the whole GINCEP project? I mean, why India? Why Germany? And if you could also give a little bit of an idea of where this came from, from the German accelerator. Can you hear me, Amrita? Amrita, can you hear us? Okay, maybe we come back to Amrita once she can hear us. I would like to mention that I see that a lot of questions are coming in. We're just taking a few general questions on the topic at the moment, and we will pick up your questions a little bit later in the discussion. I'm checking again. Amrita, can you hear us? Seems like there's some trouble with the microphone. I'm moving on to Shubha in that case. Shubha, can you then elaborate about the interest that Infineon has in the startup ecosystem in India, and how do you go about it in identifying this interest?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Yes. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Thank you. So to brief about Infineon,
Amrita, we come back.
So maybe I can just
okay.
Brief about GINCEP, and then maybe I can also take some inputs which have been coming up in the chat.
Sorry, Shubha, we let, since the microphone's working,
like
let's go to Amrita.
The Germans.
Yeah, Amrita, go on, please. Okay, seems like there's trouble again. Sorry, Amrita, I'm going to put you on hold here, and then Shubha, please continue with what you were saying.
Sure. So to brief from many of you who don't know about Infineon, Infineon is number 1 in power and security ICs, and number 2 in automotive, coming to the market positions. And I'm based out of Bangalore in Intercultural Technologies, and I take care of the startup collaborations in India. So the way we engage across
it's a bit
can you hear me now?
Shubha, could you have the mic a little bit closer to you? Yeah. Try again, please. Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, this is better.
Can you hear me? All right.
Can I speak now?
Okay. So we engage across the various stages of innovation.
Just give a quick gist about the German Indian.
Amrita, just hold. We're already, yeah. Sorry about that, Shubha. Please continue.
Yeah. So we engage across various stages of innovation with the primary aim of driving collaborations. So we have a 4-step approach. The first one being with the universities, hackathons, and makerspace. That's where we start. We explore new ideas for our products and solutions. We evaluate young engineers for potential hiring. The next stage where Infineon engages is with the incubator and accelerator partnerships. Mainly there we gain exposure to new application areas, use cases, and we engage with startups for disruptive innovations. The next stage or the area where we collaborate is direct project collaboration with startups. That would be a system learning for our application engineers. We secure first designs for new applications. And the next stage of collaboration is the co-innovation space. We co-develop solutions to enable go-to-market. So this is a 4-stage approach that Infineon takes in collaborating with technologies or disruptive solutions. Apart from this, Infineon also has been partnering with various incubators. The one, to name a few, it's the Electropower Park. It's the first incubator in India for electronic systems, supported by the ministry. We also have partnered with NITI Aayog, that is the Nodal Government Agency for Innovation and Startup Ecosystem Development.
Shubha, so if I'm an individual,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, it was breaking a little bit in between, but maybe we can move on to the next question. And thank you so much for the input.
Yeah.
If I'm an individual who is interested, from an IoT sector to collaborate with Infineon as a startup, or work together on technologies, how does that work locally? And do you just engage with, say, in Bangalore, or is it, how is it? Is it based?
No, the Infineon startup collaboration is worldwide, and in one of the links that you would be posting about the collaborations, depending on the region, wherever you are located, pan world, we have our colleagues there, and there is an email ID mentioned, and please drop in an email with your query and we get back. We have email IDs listed region-wise, right from APAC to US and EMEA. Yeah. Adhishi, would you be posting the link for that?
Yeah, perfect. Also for the audience, just to tell you that we will share all these links related to the projects of the participants that we have here. And we will put up the material for downloading, and this will also be available on our website. This webinar is also being recorded, and the recording will also be available on the website. You will also get an email reminding you of that. So rest assured, if you miss 1 or 2 points here and there, the information will reach you over the next days. There was an interesting question here for Professor Ashkar, and someone has asked, what do you mean by a knowledge-based startup? Which seems, yeah, you answered that. Maybe you could elaborate that a little bit. Professor Ashkari, what do you mean by a knowledge-based startup? So we often use research-based startups, science-backed startups, also in our areas of work. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit.
Yes, it is important that the product or service is very new, is innovative, and usually it is based on a university research. You know, we are less interested in business to consumer oriented startups, and mostly those ideas who are born through a master thesis or PhD thesis or through university research projects. And we have seen a lot of good ideas, for example, in Pilani or in Bombay. And as I wrote, we are less interested for simple B2C oriented startups, for example, for delivery pizza and like that.
Okay, that sums it up well. Thank you so much, Professor Ashkari. Now, speaking of science-backed startups, I come obviously to Mayur next. Mayur, question one, you started up, let's say, right, toward the end of your studies. So why did you think of doing that rather than, getting into, say, campus placements or something like that? Directly out of your engineering, and yeah, could you tell us that? Like, what attracted you to the current startup ecosystem that we have?
So,
can you hear us? Can you hear me, Mayur?
Am I audible?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So,
yeah, perfect.
My fundamental training is in automobile engineering, and which I kind of had to fight for at home because my dad is a mechanical engineer, and it's a engineering thing where you look down upon allied branches of mechanical engineering. So I had to fight my way because my grandfather was a bus manufacturer. He started off as, he was in the Air Force, and then he started off as he started a plant where you manufacture buses, and that kind of was the motivation for me to take it up right from when I was around 5-6 years old. But then immediately after graduation, I mean, I did think I would join probably Volvo or Scania or one of the good bus manufacturers. And I did go for a replacement, but then I knew that staying back and working towards that, I mean, I'm not doing that right now, but that's kind of the end goal. I wanted to start up my own business so that I can move towards that direction, that one day I'm able to manufacture buses on my own, the way that my grandfather was doing it back in the day. So yeah, that's kind of why I mean, I knew that even if I did learn how to work on that with a MNC or a large manufacturer, I wouldn't ever come back to this because you just get comfortable over time. I mean, I would honestly think the right time to start a business is right off of your education because just the liabilities and the commitments and all of the problems in life keep increasing as you grow older. And right out of college, I didn't have any issues that way. So I would say it's pretty much privilege that led me in this direction.
Right, and it is also great that you had that sort of support even at the university that you studied, I suppose. So that was, yeah. So coming to Falling Walls Lab, what motivated you to participate in that? I mean, had you heard about Germany? What was the reason behind it? And can you tell us a little bit, what was the lab all about?
Right. So, well, Germany mostly happened because of Falling Walls Lab, and we are a technology startup company. We work in healthcare. Just a bit of background on that. We work on portable medical grade refrigeration system for last mile transport of thermally sensitive biologicals. This could be blood, culture, serum, sputum, vaccines, anything that requires strict temperature control. So we started off as a project for specifically for transport of vaccines, but then right now, the last 2-3 months, we kind of scaled up our production capacity to meet the current requirements for transport of COVID-19 specimens. So we're working with a few local hospitals for that as well. And through the university, my alma mater, Manipal University itself, I got to know about the Falling Walls lab in India. And that was a great opportunity. Even I loved how it was, how the entire event was put together and the entire concept of breaking down your idea into 3 minutes and all of that. So, and fortunately, we were the winners of the India chapter of Falling Walls Lab, and that led to us participating in the Falling Walls Lab held in Berlin, for which DWIH and DAD had sponsored our trip and all of the accommodation and things. So, yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic experience because I was just completely surprised at the level of dedication that Germany provides to science and technology, and I mean, I had a very strong inclination towards science as a kid, and personally, the highlight for me would have been probably meeting Dr. Karl-Heinrich Helden, who's the chair of the Nobel Committee, and that was a complete fanboy moment for me. But apart from that, just part of the program itself, I got to meet a lot of universities and incubators and startup companies who are working in cutting-edge technology, which is very eye-opening for me because it's a completely different mindset that Germany has towards startup as opposed to what we have it down here. And I think there's a lot of potential for working together, which we're just trying to translate a few things from back then now.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. I mean, glad that you got that opportunity. Glad that you made the best out of it. I'm going to try and checking on if Amrita can hear us. Again, Amrita, can you hear me? Is your microphone working now? Amrita? Maybe not. So we were speaking about Falling Walls Lab. So for the participants here, this could be an interesting opportunity for those who have an idea but who haven't don't have a startup yet. It's a startup pitch competition in that sense to present your innovative ideas within 3 minutes. It happens at a national level, which is organized by us at the German Center for Research and Innovation and the DAAD. In India, the applications are open at the moment with the deadlines of 24th May, so you have enough time. We have posted the links here. Please go to the website, check it out. Likely that it is something for you. It's an excellent platform for presenting your ideas, but also for networking. So do check it out. It seems like Amrita is not able to have her microphone on. So maybe Amrita, if you can hear us, you can write down like your answer. Can you hear me, Amrita? Maybe not. But the links to the GINSEP program have been mentioned here in the chat as well. GINSEP is a startup exchange program, as mentioned, and they do support startups from India and Germany for exchange to understand each other's ecosystems, and also provide support towards guiding as to how you can start your startup, who can you meet. They take delegation trips from India to Germany and also from Germany to India. You can check out their page and even contact them further for any other support. And Amrita is here to answer your questions in the chat in case you want to ask her something. We had a question which was asked related to, if the startups sort of needs, in terms of like research career. So someone said that I'm a first-year PhD student working on material science. What is a better idea? I mean, do you pursue a startup instead of a postdoc? After toying with the idea of what is better, is industry better? Is startup better? What do you do after PhDs? is startup an option C? Can researchers get into, startups? Professor Ashkari, can you answer this?
Well, it's a very personal decision, for running a startup, you need a specific mindset. Okay, there are two different personalities. If you want to accomplish a big idea, and you want to have big self-success, it is to recommend to run your own business, to run your own startup. In this case, you have more responsibility and your life would be more adventurous, but you have also the opportunity to get more success and more gain. But if you like to have a less adventurous life and more secure life, it is better and is recommended to work in a big industry. There are two different expectations about the life. However, if you want to run a startup and be successful, you should know that the way is somehow stony, and you have always new questions, and you have a challenge. But however, you have also big success. English idiom says, no pain, no gain.
Thank you, Professor Ashkari. Mayur, would you agree?
Sorry?
To what he said?
Hello?
Do you have an
Am I
opinion
audible?
on that?
Yeah, it's certainly
Yeah, your opinion on that.
different mindset.
Yeah.
What's required for a
clear.
startup company as opposed to a job in academia. I mean, just to put it out there, my dad is an academician, and my dad still does not. It's been over 4 years. He still does not know what I do for a living. So it's two very different things. And I mean, there are a lot of successful stories about PhDs. I mean, people who worked in. I mean, from what I'm understanding from the Q&A section, it's material sciences, right? So fundamental sciences can lead to technology licensing, or if you have a very strong IP, you can sell it off. That's also a business model that you can approach. But then to run a startup company with a intensive business model, I mean, it's better to go in either or direction rather than do both.
Yeah, and there someone also asked you a question saying that why not the job experience first? I mean, you did answer it. Like, what was your motivation behind starting yourself instead of looking for a job? But like looking around, I mean, your journey the last 4 years. Do you think you should have like gained some more hands-on experience somewhere else and then coming to entrepreneurship?
Well, I did intern in a few places, so I did learn something.
How would you answer this?
Applied engineering, but then certainly not a job, because a job and a fixed salary kind of spoils you as a person. So you don't want to go back to quote unquote unemployment for a couple of years until the company starts making any form of revenue, right? So that's very depressing personally, and there's a lot of sociological stigma attached to that as well. So I mean, this is obviously a personal opinion, and a lot of people have worked in a lot of companies and who then created a stable financial structure for themselves, which out of which they could operate a startup. But I think it's very, very tricky, especially in India, because you go from 100 and then back to 0 again, right? So that shell shock kind of first of all, it creates a lot of hesitation. But if you have other problems like family issues and people who your loved ones don't want you to take that leap of faith because you have something good, why would bird in hand is both two in the bush, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, that seems like personal, like again, like I said, personal opinions and different stages of life, different priorities, of course. Shubha, maybe a question to you in that direction, like the startups that you work with from the Indian ecosystem, like what sort of like traits do you see? I mean, how do you see the startup ecosystem? Yeah. Could you hear me, Shubha?
The startup, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's a little flaky.
Can you hear me?
It's quite. Yeah.
Hello.
Try again. Yeah, that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Shubha.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, yeah, the kind of startups, I see a mixture. As I said, in my startup journey with entrepreneurs, I see young college students coming up with their own startups. Most of the time, they lack a vision. So sometimes having a good board member with experience actually matters, who can lead them. Otherwise, they would not be able to fly or sustain for a longer time. So young entrepreneurs, their ideas are brilliant, a lot of with high potential, but they need to have a good mentor or a person with experience or who have a vision to guide them. Yeah, this is one kind of experience for with young entrepreneurs. The other side, I've seen great success with startups with vision and getting connected to incubators is another step towards success. An incubator gives them holistic support in terms of product development to market launch and also mentoring and funding. So I would suggest startups to look for the right incubators of their area of technology, and definitely they would get in touch with corporates who can help them launch their product and give the required connects to the product distributors or help in design and manufacturing.
Thanks so much. That gives an idea of the sort of entrepreneurs that you work with. So if someone from this webinar wants to get in touch with you, is that also possible that they write to you, Shubha, for more questions or more information? Yeah.
Yes, please feel free to write to me. Yeah, we'll see how we could help them.
I see a lot of questions coming in, a lot of answers, so back and forth. That's quite good to hear. So thank you all the panelists also for responding to these questions. We spoke a little bit about mentorship in Shubha's comments right now, and that I'm going to take I'm going to mention that the GINSEP also does that to an extent. It's a pity that Amrita's audio and microphone is not working. But to go on the topic of a little bit of like mentorship and understanding how to go about your startups. Professor Ashkar, you've been teaching entrepreneurship for a really long time now. So what is your a little bit of like advice to the startups or entrepreneurs, and especially what would you think of what do you think that why should entrepreneurs or early stage startups or people with ideas should go international in their early years itself? So what do you think is the the significance of that?
Well, the economy is globalized, and the national markets are nowadays less important. If you have a good idea, if you have a interesting product or service, you should try to penetrate in the world market, and you should believe on yourself. Those guys who have run their startups in Silicon Valley were not smarter than you. That you have to believe on yourself, and India is a big country, and I think there are several initiatives between Germany and India and you should use these opportunity. And the endeavors of DAD are very distinguished. And I think today there are several stakeholders in this webinar, and we are very open to get connected with you and help you that you get access to European market. International aspect of running business, of running startups, is a very important aspect. If you want to escalate your business, you should and you must think internationally. Okay, I think that we have a very good bridges between Germany and India, and I would like to recommend all participants of this webinar which are interested to run a startup to be connected with German partners, German co-founders, and try to access to German and European market.
Quite important, yes, like you said, so to connect to international partners and find out a little bit about the international ecosystems already. Thank you so much, Professor Ashkari. We had a webinar yesterday, in which we dealt more about, how does the entrepreneurship scene look like in Germany. So if you want to find out more, please also refer to our website. There will be more information there available quite soon on what we spoke about yesterday. But also if you want to look towards Germany and see what sort of infrastructure is available, where is research taking place, which is a good research institution for you also, for good support for your startup ideas. You might want to look at the data, the research database, which is called as Get It, and also Research Explorer. We're just posting the links here, yeah, so you can just take a look at that. It's a very extensive database available for you. So do go through it, and if you do have questions, please also write to the contacts given there. Also contact the DAD here for more information. Building a little bit upon the topic of internationalization, Mayur, it's now you participated in the Falling Walls Lab last year. So let's say you were already a little bit ahead in your startup journey when you did that. Would you recommend that also to someone who has just has an idea but does not have anything on ground at the moment? What did that international experience sort of give you? And would you, in let's say another 4 years, would you apply again for a similar format?
So the thing is, what we're working on is very specific to emerging economies. So from a business standpoint, for what we are working on, we weren't exploring Europe as a market per se. But from the experience that I had during the week of the conference, it just felt like, so just to give an example, one of the directors of a university was talking about how Germany has historically overcome the lack of natural resources by investing in people. Even now, it's almost 3% of GDP that goes into R&D in Germany, which is very surprising, given we don't spend even close to 0.8%. And this creates a big opportunity and some potential for synergy as well, because India is a very young nation, and by 2027, I think we're going to be the world's largest manpower. We have a massive population of age between 15 and 64, and that's the reason we are slightly moving towards manufacturing. I mean, even with the current crisis that's going on, a lot of countries like Japan pulling out almost $2 billion worth of investment away from China. And almost all of the world countries have recognized that it's not good to put all of your eggs in one basket, right? So, and India, Vietnam, we're all stepping up right now. This creates a huge opportunity for collaboration in terms of, it could be, it doesn't have to be production or manufacturing, but even prototyping and product development. It's a lot of contracts that we get come from German institutes where the R&D and the engineering design is going on in there. We are we're working on the prototyping, testing, calibration, assembly, deployment. That's our focus, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there. It doesn't have to be that we do everything in one end, and somebody else does something. And it's not just about bilateral trade per se, but I think it's a little more complex with how we can look at this aspect of bilateral relations, right? So specifically, I'm only talking about technology startups here, not any other aspect.
All right, perfect. Thanks for summing that up so well. I'm like speaking about going international. I'm going to come back to these two countries again with an input from Professor Ashkari. Professor Ashkari, you deal with both the both the ecosystems like India and Germany. How important is intercultural understanding, or say even like language skills? How important are those when you deal with both these countries, or is that important or not at all, because startup world functions differently? What is your opinion?
Well, it's a very interesting and important issue. I observed that those students of us who have spent some time in India, for example, in Bombay or Pilani, get another mindset and get more open-minded, and the intercultural activities help the startups to widen their horizon and get more open-mindedness. I think this is a very important issue, and all of us have to develop more readiness to accept another values and other behaviors. And if you want to operate in international markets, you should be accustomed to the different cultures. So referring to our research and experiences, it is very positive if the students could gather some international experiences, especially in India. And I have seen the Indian students as a very keen and courage people who want to do something, who want to solve the problems, and the Indian students have a very strong entrepreneurial mindset. And I think when the Indian students could spend some time in Germany, they can also learn from the German students. The exchange between German and Indian startups and students is very fruitful for both sides.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can second that as well. And I'm going to take one or two more questions from the chat section now. So some of you have been asking questions related to angel investors, investing in Germany, or connecting like an Indian startup. How do I move towards Germany, or like a German startup? How do I get into the Indian market? So Amrita, if you can hear us, can you see if you could answer those questions? Are you here, Amrita? Amrita, I see that you are in the webinar. Sorry, that's a pity. I think we're not been able to get her. It seems like a bad technical connection today. But for these kind of questions, you can also connect with GINSEP. They will be able to help you. They also have a wide range of experts on board called as ambassadors, who are specialists in their own field, be it legal issues, be it finances, be it mentorship, so they can help you with that. Please look at their website. They will be available for questions. Amrita, contact details are also mentioned there. Right. There is room for one or two more questions, so I'm going to just move up in that regard and just pick up something. A lot of questions for Falling Walls Lab. Thank you so much. That does generate a lot of interest. Sounds good. So maybe like people have been asking about different sectors. So is there a specific sector or a couple of sectors like artificial intelligence or machine learning, IoT? What is very, so to say, very in market at the moment, Professor Ashkari, in Germany? Can you tell us what sort of startups are looked for?
Well, our ideas and services referring to artificial intelligence and machine learning are highly welcome, but also in mechanical engineering or electrical engineering are also highly welcome. You know, Germany is a very industrialized country with a strong industry, and we are on the process of the so-called Industry 4.0, and in this case we need a lot of providers with smart ideas who can help the industrial SMEs of Germany to be more digitalized. And so startups in these areas have a very good chance to be successful at the German market.
All right. And I mean, tech-based startups, yes, we got that. What about startups who are engaged in the social entrepreneurship sector? How is, or, you know, backed up in these topics? Is there a demand for those?
Well, we would support them too, but frankly spoken, Germany has a very secure social standards, and the need of digital solutions is bigger than the social solutions. However, they are also welcome. I would recommend, if the startups or students from this webinar are interested to get some help through our Entrepreneurship Hub, may send me an email, and we will try to connect them to our students or institutions which we have in our federal state, Lower Saxony, and try to help them.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much. And then maybe one question closed. There are very specific questions also coming in, I see, related to, you know, sustainability startups or related to, like, say, IP. Professor Ashkari, you did mention that it's possible to elaborate a little bit on IPs. Can you say what you mean by that here?
Yes, of course. We have an office for intellectual property consultation at our university, and we can help those which have patents, for example, that it could be also utilized in Germany, and find a co-founder to commercialize the patents, for example, okay? Or even help if some idea is born in India, that it should be registered in Germany or European market. We can also help those startups. However, it is important that they are interested to have a subsidiary in Germany and to work with German co-founders.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just going to ask one question to Shubha next. You know, while like talking about like IPs as well, I mean, that's an important topic also when you work with external startups and then try to integrate these technologies for Infineon, for example. How do you go about that?
All right. Whenever there is a startup with an idea that comes in, we follow NDA agreement followed by a few more legal paperwork so that the IP issues are handled. And the IP of the specific startup is intact and there is no conflict with the corporate. This way, being a corporate, our legal team handles it in a very right way such that the IP of the startup is intact.
I also wanted to ask you, is there any connection between the startup activities or, you know, an exchange possible for the startups that work with you within the operations in India and Germany, or is it like very exclusive? The work.
Yeah, the operations are connected globally, coming to the one in India to Germany. Infineon is a member of BIGSA, that is the Bengaluru Indo-German Startup Network, together with IGCC, that is the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. So every quarter, the founding members of the BIGSA meet and we exchange the startup ideas or the startups whom we incubate. So we are very much connected through this, as well as our colleagues in Germany as well as Singapore are very well connected, and we see how these startups can establish in the respective regions. Singapore has a co-innovation lab set up there, and we do offer support to Indian startups to the APAC region, to Singapore as well.
That you are connected with in Asia and also then Germany and Europe. Perfect. That sounds. I think that brings us a little closer towards the end of the webinar. But before we do that, I would want to ask each of the panelists for, say, you know, like two key messages that they would like to give within this whole Indo-German initiatives or towards the participants that we have today. So maybe with Mayur, what are your two key takeaways,
so I would say,
like key messages for them?
Collaboration with German companies. I would say startup to startup collaboration. I think one key aspect that we can look at, given all the things that's been happening over the last few weeks and the few months, India has opened up a new manufacturing plot close to the size of the area is the size of 2 Luxembourgs, and this is specifically for manufacturing for companies that are looking away from China. And a lot of German companies do depend on China for electronics and mechanical engineering products which are manufactured down there. And they are shifting out. So I would say that Indian startup companies should be on the lookout for opportunities in that domain. And that's manufacturing, and it might be a little it's a little too far off. But I would say the first aspect to that would be even product development. I mean, India has some of the finest engineers. At least in terms of volume, we make a ton of engineers every single year. So we have a lot of potential for taking up projects which are very labor intensive. So I would suggest that Indian startup companies be on the lookout for opportunities like that.
Okay, so connect to the corporates and also look for product development, manufacturing and product development. Those are the two key topics that I take. Product development obviously takes me to Shubha, since you're involved in that. So your two messages. Shubha, are you here? Yeah. So I was saying we have been summarizing the webinar a little bit, but before we get into, before we close it, your two sort of like impulse inputs for the audience here in terms of, you know, the whole startup ecosystem that we spoke about, India, Germany. What are your two messages for them, shortly?
Yeah, the two messages is getting to the right incubator and mentorship with the corporate funding is one aspect that you may get a lot of venture capitalists to fund you, but getting the right mentorship, technical support is very, very important during your ideation, prototyping and design phase. So that's the two cents. Get the first few steps right, and the ventures and funding will fall into place automatically. So getting to a strong mentorship program.
Mentorship, technical support accelerator. Next, that brings me to, of course, Professor Ashkari, since you are, of course, responsible for these activities. Your messages, please.
Well, I would like to underline that the participants should use the opportunity that you offer and we offer to get a connection with German startups, but with the whole German startup ecosystems to get access to German and European market. In these 60 minutes, we do not have the opportunity to describe all possibilities and all measurements which we implement through the whole line of entrepreneurship process. But get in touch with us and we will try to help you.
Perfect, sounds good. And as a next step, not to forget, GINSTEP as well. So please connect with all these experts here that we had today. They've written their contact details. Their project information was also mentioned here. The information, again, I repeat, will be available on the website. Also, the recording will be available for you in the next days. We will also have a short feedback at the end of this session. So please stay for 2 minutes and just let us know how we did. This was our first webinar series starting off, so we would definitely like to know your opinion. And with that, I would like to thank all the panelists. Thank you so much for your input. Thank you for participating. We learned a lot about the initiatives, about your experiences, and we hope to connect with you again soon. Thanks so much. I take you now. And thank you again. Thank you as well for all the participants for staying till the end. All your interesting questions. We've made a note of it. And we'll also send you an email shortly with all the links, important links. Do connect with us on our website, social media, and all other channels that are available. I take it now to the poll. Please give us your feedback here. Please tell us how we did. Did you get any information from this webinar? I'm just going to, yeah. Would be nice if you just tell us your opinion on it. The chat window will also remain open for 10 more minutes. If you need to ask any more questions, we are also still here for another 10 minutes. If you would like to ask any more questions. Thank you. I do see answers coming in. A lot of good response. Thank you so much. We will now shortly close the poll. Yes, thank you so much for your input. We will keep the chat window now open in case you have some more questions for us. We are here for you a couple of more minutes. Thank you so much once again.